Welcome back. Today we do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about a cable and more so to the point. I actually took my own advice, which sounds obvious, but I don't always do that. But I've actually talked about XINHS cables before, and I've always said you can certainly ask them to customize cables, and they do their best to accommodate whatever you want. And the use case that came up for me was this guy, right? This is the Apos Audio Gremlin tube amp. It is balanced input, balanced output. I tend to get headphones loaned to me by Apos Audio, by Meze Audio. These are the 105 AERs. They tend to include this guy, right? The 3.5 millimeter single-ended cable. That is the most popular one, and sometimes you get the quarter-inch cable, the quarter-inch adapter for it. Either way, I typically end up with a single-ended cable, and I have a brand new tube amp that I really want to try and listen to headphones on that only has balanced output. So I actually took my own advice and bought a custom headphone cable, kind of roughly not all that far from the original. This one is a 1.8 millimeter OFC copper from Meze. This is the one that comes with the AER, so it's a little bit longer, but I think it's a nice black cable. This one is actually sleeved, but has rubber PVC on the top. This is the XINHS 089, and I chose the 089 one because it's a material that I was familiar with, and actually talked about this last time. If you look at this one closely, this is the black material with the gold flex, and they've actually used this on a number of cables. It tends to get included on some of the mixed cables. You can actually buy it on its own. Certainly for 089, you can buy it on its own in the 2-core format. I think they actually do have a 4-core version. There used to be an 8-core version, which I'm not sure still exists. But I think it's a very popular, they call it the 5 elements. Yeah, I think this one's called the 5-element cable. There's a couple different names for it, but it's essentially monocrystalline silver. I think that's silver-plated copper. There's a palladium strand, gold-plated copper, gold, silver, alloy, and graphene. So 5 different materials, 5 very nice materials in a 2-core cable with a PVC coating on it. Like I said, this one's sleeved on the bottom, PVC on the top. These are dual, single pole 3.5 millimeters. These are single pole 3.5 millimeters. These are a little bit thinner, so I have to ask them about getting these thinner versions of the 3.5 millimeter. These are kind of the fatter version that won't go on the inside in a kind of a recessed socket. I don't think these will fit that, but for the most part, on the 105 AERs, it's actually fine. So let me kind of go through some of these points. So why did I choose the 089? One, I'm very familiar with the material, and I actually like this material, and I have a couple cables with the same material. But this one, the single strand is about 2.1 millimeters. This is about 2.5 millimeters. So 2.1 millimeters, I think, as far as materials that they have, that kind of gets you in the ballpark of what a typical headphone cable would actually feel like in the weight of it. This is just going to be a little bit lighter. This is going to be a little bit lighter because I didn't get the full 1.8 millimeter length either. But for me, in my use case on my desk, I don't really need the full 1.8, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. All those lengths kind of work for me. But it is nice material, and this one is affordable. I actually bought this one before the sale started, which was something that I also recommend, never buying cables between sales, and I did that, so I didn't take my own advice on that one, but I think the last time I looked, it's actually cheaper. I think I paid about $38 for this, and I think it's actually cheaper now with coupons, but this is the affordable version of this material. As I said, nice material, but only 2 cores. It tends to be more affordable than 4 cores and certainly 8 cores. So I did swap out. This one comes with a range. If you look at 089, it comes with a range of typical IAM connectors, 2-pin, MCX, QDC, all those things. You have to ask for, I'm not sure, they may have dual 3.5. I actually had to ask for the dual 3.5 single poles. They typically give you, I think, the dual pole version of the 3.5. If you see dual pole, or if you see dual 3.5 millimeter, it's typically the dual pole. I don't know. I just wanted them to match the original, so I got the dual single poles. The modular kit. So again, the modular kit is sort of something that's harder to find on headphone cables, and for me, it's just the easiest way to use the same cable on various amps that may come, whether it's the Gremlin, which has a 4.4 output right here, or using this is actually a FIO XLR to 4.4. This is also super handy to use if you want to use that output. But this 4.4, this modular kit also comes with the 3.5. It comes with the it comes with the 2 millimeter 2.5 and the 3.5. So you get all the range of options that I could use with amps and other amps that I might get loaned that only have 3.5. That's handy to have the ability to use the same cable and different outputs. But, you know, the modular kit, I will say ask for the price. My general ballpark on the modular kit, it's about $10. If the cable doesn't have it priced in or doesn't list it on the listing, I will typically ask for how much will the modular kit cost? Can you do the modular kit? So expect that to be about $10. If they tell me it's $20, I tend to pass, and then I'll ask about it at some time later. But if there is no modular kit listed, they tend to add an additional price just to get the modular kit. And I did swap the resin for stainless steel. So if you look at, these are actually stainless, or this is resin, and resin. On my version of it, you got the modular kit, which is actually stainless steel. Then you get the split right here, which is stainless steel. There's actually a neck slider over here in the same color, and then these guys are kind of matching stainless steel. So again, on pretty much most cables from XINHS, you can swap out the hardware for heavier, lighter, different materials, different colors. You know, if you wanted these in black stainless steel, they probably have that, or black aluminum, and I think that would be more in line with what the original looks like. But I think the silver accents are actually pretty nice in this case. And then kind of the end point, like I said, this one's about 1.8 meters. That's a little bit long. This is pretty much just about a normal IEM length. Maybe it's a little bit longer because you don't have the ear hook, so it's a little bit longer. But, you know, the 1.2, I tend to ask them, like, can you make it a little bit longer, like a 1.3, just to give me a little bit more length so I can kind of kick back in my chair, plug it into the Gremlin, kick back in my chair, and there's still a little bit of extra cable there, so I don't have to worry about, you know, pulling it out of the jack or pulling the Gremlin out of the place. But, you know, I do like it just slightly longer. And certainly they have custom lengths. If you want a 1.8 millimeter version of this cable, they will price that out for you. If you want 1.5, you know, ask them about different lengths and custom lengths, and all that'll be great. So the question is, you know, after you get the custom cable that lets you use the 105, the Mezzi 105 AERs on the Gremlin tube amp, you know, is it actually any better? And I say the cable obviously isn't going to change the sound too much. This is still going to be a very low-end, lush style set, but on the Gremlin, you know, it pretty much, this exceeded my expectations of kind of, and part of the reason why I really wanted this cable was to hear this particular set on this particular amp, simply because I made this weird comment about the AER. I think it was in the treble section. I said, as you turn up the volume, the mids become a little bit more present and there's a little bit more detail there. You can kind of adjust that lushness factor just by a little bit of volume. And then on the Gremlin, on the tube amp, what you're actually hearing is sort of more of the tubiness coming through right in the mids. The treble, like I said, on these particular tubes, on Gremlin, the treble in the whole upper end, that extension that you get from these particular tubes, really extended. It actually pairs really nicely with the lushness of the 105 AER, and kind of get that top end contribution right into the mids. You get some of the tubiness right into the mids. The whole thing actually sounded better than I thought it was going to. And I had an idea, and it was just one of these things where I'm like, I happened to be chatting with XINHS about something else, some other cables that I'll show in a little while. But the whole idea of being able to hear this particular set and what that was going to sound like on tubes was sort of the motivation for purchasing this cable, and having this cable on future Mezze sets. Also the Poet, I should be getting a loaner of that in the future as well. So all good for those of you who are used to XINHS and customizing cables. This was not so much new information for you. For those of you who are used to buying from their store and buying whatever is there, and you're not really aware that you can message them and change up a standard cable that they have with new accessories, new hardware, the modular kit, the length, all these things that you can change to really dial it in for your particular use case. This happens to be my use case. So yeah, lots of things to be aware of, and more of a reminder that to take my own advice and buy custom cables from XINHS when I need something special. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and I will see you next time.